The WNBA wants you talking about Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers. They're spending millions to push it as the next great clean rivalry. A battle of skills, a clash of titans, a narrative fit for prime time. But what if this is all just a calculated distraction?
WNBA finally released their schedule, slated to tip off 30th season Friday, May 8th. And Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever hosting Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings. Seems like the WNBA has moved on, and they are definitely pumping up this Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers rivalry. Of course, they're opening up with Dallas, and I think that's super smart. They play them 1, 2, 3 times.
What if this whole storyline, meticulously crafted and relentlessly promoted, is nothing more than a smokescreen? While the league sells you a shiny new object, a contract dispute so massive it could threaten the entire 2026 season is brewing behind the scenes. The WNBA isn't just building a new rivalry, it's desperately trying to hide a potential disaster that could vaporize the very momentum it has spent a generation trying to build. And the worst part? The whole strategy seems to hinge on sidelining the one authentic, explosive rivalry that fans actually want to see. This isn't just about basketball anymore. This is about business, survival, and a backroom battle that will define the future of the league. To understand the sheer magnitude of what the WNBA is gambling with, you first have to appreciate the cultural and economic phenomenon they already had: Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. This wasn't a rivalry born in a marketing meeting. It was forged in the fiery crucible of the NCAA tournament, built on contrasting styles and unapologetic personalities. It all started with a taunt seen around the world, when Angel Reese, in the final moments of LSU's 2023 championship victory over Iowa, flashed the "you can't see me" gesture at Clark. It was pure, unscripted, competitive fire. It was trash talk. It was drama. And the sports world, starved for authentic conflict, ate it up. That one moment created a storyline that led to their 2024 Elite Eight rematch. That wasn't just a basketball game. It was a cultural event. According to ESPN, it drew a staggering 12.3 million viewers, making it the most-watched women's college basketball game in history. To put that in perspective, that single game drew more viewers than every game of the 2023 World Series. Their 2023 championship matchup had already been a record-setter, pulling in 9.9 million viewers. It was an undeniable signal of what the public wanted: Clark, the revolutionary shooter, against Reese, the dominant force in the paint. The hero and the villain. It was a promoter's dream, and it happened organically. When both declared for the WNBA draft, the league was handed a golden goose. The Caitlin Clark effect was already in full swing. Her presence alone started rewriting the league's economic future. In her 2024 rookie season, WNBA attendance was up 48% from the previous year, with the league averaging over 9,800 fans per game. Games featuring Clark saw attendance numbers spike, and one finance professor estimated that her presence was responsible for a significant portion of the WNBA's total revenue from attendance, TV, and merchandise. Her jersey sold out almost instantly. The real lightning in a bottle, though, was the rivalry. Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky became the league's hottest ticket. Their first matchup in the WNBA continued the trend, setting viewership records. That game in June 2024 drew 1.53 million viewers on ESPN, one of several games involving Clark that season to cross the million-viewer mark, a threshold the league hadn't seen in years. This rivalry wasn't just about numbers, it was about the narrative. It was intense, physical, and controversial. Hard fouls, flagrant penalties, and a constant media buzz followed every interaction, fueling debate shows and captivating casual fans. It was the WNBA's version of Magic vs. Bird, a must-see conflict between two stars with different approaches and personas. Angel Reese brought the Bayou Barbie swagger, while Caitlin Clark was the Midwestern phenom with a cannon for an arm. The league had for the first time a rivalry that transcended the sport. It was a money-printing machine built on authentic drama. Any logical business would have strapped a rocket to this and ridden it to the moon. They would have scheduled more national TV games and built entire marketing campaigns around it. But the WNBA, in a move that has left many bewildered, seems to be doing the opposite. They've decided to sideline their golden goose and manufacture a new one. Just as the Clark-Reese rivalry hit a fever pitch, the WNBA's marketing machine began to shift its focus. The league started planting seeds for a new marquee matchup: Caitlin Clark versus Paige Bueckers. This pivot became undeniable with the release of the 2026 season schedule. While the 2025 season opener featured the heated Clark-Reese matchup, The 2026 opening weekend is a different story. Clark's Indiana Fever are slated to open their season not against the Chicago Sky, but against Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings. This isn't an accident, it's a calculated decision. The league and its media partners appear to be architecting a new rivalry, one they might see as more palatable, more marketable, and ultimately safer for the brand. Paige Bueckers, the #1 pick in the 2025 draft, is on paper the perfect foil for Clark in a clean narrative. Like Clark, she was a college phenom from UConn. As a freshman, she made history, becoming the first ever freshman to win the Wooden Award, the Naismith Trophy, and AP Player of the Year. Her story is also one of incredible resilience. After a spectacular freshman year, Bueckers battled devastating injuries, including a torn ACL. Her comeback to again become a top player and the #1 draft pick is a powerful, inspiring story. She is well-spoken, media-trained, and carries the pedigree of the UConn dynasty. In the eyes of league executives, she could represent a protagonist versus protagonist storyline, a rivalry based on elite skill and mutual respect, a stark contrast to the fiery dynamic between Clark and Reese. The problem? You can't build rivalries in a boardroom. Fans can smell a manufactured narrative from a mile away. Bueckers herself has even commented on the constant comparisons, calling them media-driven and pointing out that she and Clark don't even play alike. So why would the WNBA do this? It likely comes down to control and brand management. The Clark-Reese rivalry, for all its ratings gold, comes with elements the league can't control. It touches on complex social issues and features on-court physicality that can make corporate sponsors nervous. It's messy, unpredictable, and doesn't fit into a sanitized, family-friendly marketing package. The Clark-Bueckers rivalry, on the other hand, is a blank slate. The league can try to write the script, framing it as a pure celebration of basketball genius. It's clean, it's safe, and it's a story the league office can direct. But the most critical part of this strategy isn't just that it might be a bad marketing decision. It's that this entire pivot, this focus on creating a new sanitized rivalry, could be seen as a deliberate misdirection, a smokescreen designed to divert attention from the single biggest threat the WNBA has faced in its 30-year history. While the WNBA is busy trying to sell a Clark versus Bueckers narrative, the real war is happening behind closed doors, and this war could bring the entire league to a grinding halt. The story the league likely wants to keep out of the headlines is the tense negotiation for a new collective bargaining agreement, or CBA. In 2025, the WNBA Players Association, WNBPA, exercised its right to opt out of the existing CBA, which was set to run through 2027. This move accelerated the timeline for a high-stakes showdown. After a couple of extensions, a key deadline passed on January 9, 2026, without a resolution, and both sides agreed to a moratorium on free agency. The league and the players are now in a status quo period where the old agreement's terms are still in effect, but the future is uncertain. On January 2026, the WNBA released its schedule for the 30th anniversary season, set to tip off on May 8th. This move projects an image of business as usual, but it's a gamble. How can you have a schedule when you don't have a long-term agreement with your players? The schedule release wasn't necessarily a sign of stability, but a public relations move, and many fans saw right through it, accusing the league on social media of holding the CBA hostage. So what's the fight about? Money? Specifically, the players' share of the new revenue they've helped generate. The Caitlin Clark effect and the surge in viewership have fundamentally changed the league's finances. The players are demanding a seat at the table. Reports suggest the players are seeking a revenue-sharing model similar to the NBA's, where they would receive a much larger percentage of the league's money. The chasm between the two sides seems to be about how to calculate that revenue. The players want their share based on gross revenue. The league, however, has reportedly proposed a system based on net revenue, which means they would deduct a host of operating expenses before calculating the players' share, a model that would dramatically reduce the money going to the players. While the league's offer reportedly includes significant pay bumps, the core disagreement over the revenue-sharing structure is a major sticking point. This isn't just about salaries, it's about the future economic model of women's pro sports. The players see a new landmark media rights deal, new expansion teams in Toronto and Portland for 2026, and a league whose value is exploding. They are refusing to be left behind, and this is precisely why the league might be pushing the Clark versus Bueckers narrative so hard. A league-wide labor dispute is terrible for business. It's a messy, complicated, and negative story. A story about two supremely skilled players in a friendly rivalry? That's a much better story to tell. The Clark-Bueckers narrative is a potential diversion. It's a shiny object meant to distract the media and public from the crisis happening in the negotiation room. Every minute a sports show spends debating Clark versus Bueckers is a minute they are not spending on the CBA. The league could be banking on the idea that if they create a compelling enough on-court drama, no one will notice the off-court storm that's brewing. The WNBA is playing a dangerous game with its own future. The league's strategy is a two-front gamble, and a failure on either front could send the WNBA spiraling, erasing years of hard-won progress. First, consider the risk of the manufactured rivalry. The league is betting it can will a Clark-Bueckers rivalry into existence, but what if fans don't buy it? The result would be a marketing nightmare, exposing the league office as out of touch with its own audience. It would be a colossal waste of resources and a squandering of the authentic energy that the league desperately needs. But that's just the opening act. The main event of this potential disaster is a work stoppage. The CBA dispute is a fundamental chasm between players and owners over the value of their labor. This status quo period is a ticking time bomb. Right now, free agency is on hold. The expansion drafts for Toronto and Portland haven't happened, meaning these new teams have 0 players just months before the season is supposed to start. If a deal isn't reached, a lockout by the owners or a strike by the players is a real possibility. Imagine the optics. On the heels of its most successful period in history, the WNBA cancels or delays its 30th anniversary season. The momentum built on the backs of the recent rookie classes would be obliterated. Casual fans who just discovered the league will move on. The new lucrative television partners will be left with empty airtime and a damaged product. A work stoppage would be an act of economic self-sabotage. The WNBA has just arrived at the mainstream cultural table, and a lockout would be like flipping that table over and setting the room on fire. Expansion, a clear sign of health, would be thrown into chaos. How do the Toronto Tempo or Portland Fire build a fan base for a season that might not happen? This is the true disaster that the Clark-Bueckers narrative might be designed to hide. While the league is busy promoting a made-for-TV rivalry, it's sitting on a 5-alarm fire in its own house. They are gambling that they can distract everyone with a puppet show while the foundation crumbles. It's a strategy that is not only insulting to fans, but also existentially dangerous. By sidelining the authentic rivalry that people crave and simultaneously failing to quickly resolve the labor dispute, the WNBA isn't just risking a dip in ratings, they're risking everything. This is a pivotal moment for the WNBA. The league has a choice: embrace the authentic, chaotic, and wildly popular energy that brought them here, or continue down this dangerous path of manufacturing narratives while a real crisis brews. So I have to ask you, what do you think? Is the WNBA making a smart move by trying to create a cleaner rivalry, or are they making a huge mistake by sidelining the Clark-Reese phenomenon? And more importantly, who do you side with in the CBA dispute? The players demanding a larger piece of the pie, or the league trying to control costs? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you want to stay on top of the real stories in the WNBA, make sure you subscribe. In the end, this all comes down to a question of identity. Does the WNBA want to be a league that embraces the raw, authentic passion that defines sports, or does it want to be a sanitized, corporate-friendly product, perfectly packaged and utterly soulless? By attempting to force a rivalry between Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers, the league seems to be choosing the illusion of control over the reality of passion. But this strategy is more than a marketing miscalculation. It's a dangerous distraction from the real threat. The unresolved CBA negotiation is the story. It's a battle for the financial soul of the WNBA. The players have generated unprecedented value, and they are rightfully demanding that their compensation reflects it. The owners, meanwhile, appear to be clinging to an old model that is no longer tenable. The disaster scenario is clear: a failed, manufactured rivalry that alienates fans, followed by a season-canceling work stoppage that vaporizes the league's momentum. It would be a self-inflicted wound of catastrophic proportions, a cautionary tale of a league that was given a golden opportunity and fumbled it away because it was too afraid of its own success. The WNBA is at a crossroads. One path leads to a future where players are true partners in the business they helped build. The other path, the one they seem to be on, leads to a manufactured reality, an ignored fan base, and a potential labor crisis that could turn the brightest moment in the league's history into its darkest hour. The clock is ticking.